Hello, my name is Jocelyn Rose Everett, and I am a student at California Institute of Integral Studies in the BAC program. And for my senior project, I have developed a curriculum for a workshop. This project is titled Transformation Through Nature. The workshop I developed is titled Wilderness Inspiration. The first Wilderness Inspiration Workshop will take place Friday, September 16th, 2016 at Sutro Heights Park in San Francisco. We will be hosting this workshop on Ohlone and coastal Miwok land and will acknowledge their history on the day of. You see, humanity simply does not care for the earth the way we should at this time in 2016. We are disconnected from each other and ourselves. Most of all, we are disconnected from the inspiration that nature provides. The results of this disconnect are not only found today with processes like fracking, overgrazing, global warming, and clear-cutting the Amazon forest. The future result of these actions will rob our children of knowing the species we grew up with. This workshop attempts to show that nature can be used as a tool in many creative activities such as poetry and art, community building, and releasing stress. Spending time in nature not only inspires us creatively, but keeps us physically healthy. Yoshifumi Miyazaki from Japan is a biologist who studies Shinrin-yoku, which in Japanese means forest bathing. According to Miyazaki, spending time in nature is a wonderful form of preventative medicine. By simply looking at roses or spending time in the forest, stress levels are decreased, leaving more room for creativity and prevents us from getting sick. Our bodies have always been under a state of stress since we were born into artificial settings. But since our human bodies are made to adapt to nature, spending time outside can improve our health and decrease our stress levels. People of all ages are steadily losing connection with nature. In George Monbiot's article, "If children don't make contact with nature, they won't fight for it," he tells us how children in the UK spend 50% of their day in front of screens. We see that this state of staying inside can be more dangerous than what potentially lurks in the great outdoors. When experiencing the great outdoors, we see the web of life playing out before our eyes. Every bit of nature reflects everything going on in our psyche. Nature grabs the attention of all five senses. This complete immersion is what makes nature so healing and inspiring for all aspects of people's lives. This is why having a workshop outdoors is such a good idea. People's stress levels immediately are lower when taken to an outside meeting area. One of the benefits of a workshop is that it is a powerful container for several emotions to be processed. We want to be able to use this workshop to process some of the grief that comes along with environmental destruction. This is a quote from Joanna Macy and Molly Young Brown. Because we are all interconnected, suffering in our personal lives always has roots in our collective lives, and the suffering of each of us compounds in turn to our collective pain. Helping others processing their collective pain and restoring our relationships with the earth is the most important issue to me in this lifetime. Ecopsychology is a field developed to understand individuals' psychological relationship to nature. Ecopsychology is not a revolutionary and new field. Ecopsychologists develop theories and practices to heal the alienation of Western people from the natural environment. Many indigenous communities have maintained an integral connection to the natural world, regardless of genocide and cultural attacks. In other words, ecopsychology has appropriated indigenous cultural values and epistemologies. The field of ecopsychology can continue to grow if advocating for indigenous communities' environmental and social injustices become a priority in its academic agenda. Carl Anthony and Paloma Pavel are two ecopsychologists who often discuss some of the problems with ecopsychology, but also the great potential that it has. This is a direct quote from their article, building just and resilient communities, new foundations for ecopsychology. The success of ecopsychology will depend not only upon its ability to help us hear the voice of the earth, but to construct a genuinely multicultural self and a global civil society without racism. We need to develop a multicultural awareness. Environmental justice is one and the same with racial justice. Anthony and Pavel highlight the importance of understanding not only our own relationship to the environment, but other cultures as well. This means advocating for environmental justice globally and within all communities, because ecological destruction affects everyone. I recognize that not every culture takes the same view of nature, and the challenge of this workshop is to develop a curriculum that works for everyone. For example, Carolyn Finney's work speaks of African Americans' relationship with nature in the United States. In her report, Finney states that regardless of where African Americans live geographically, their common history of slavery, segregation, and racism informs their perceptions and attitudes about the environment. According to Finney, African Americans want to reclaim their relationship to the land and acknowledge their history. And if everyone in the community supports this desire, it could be beneficial to the whole community because it offers the opportunity to recreate and rethink natural space. An example of this is Outdoor Afro, a Bay Area group that reconnects African Americans with natural spaces and one another through recreational activities such as camping, hiking, fishing, and gardening. The land we all stand on is in danger of disappearing, and the fact is that there is large environmental destruction, and healing this destruction will bring us together in this fight for a healthier earth. When we work with the earth, it is important to be mindful. In Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Love Letter to the Earth, he gives his readers simple ways to fall in love with the earth. He offers mindfulness practices such as sitting meditations. Sitting meditations are easy examples of how we can rediscover Earth's beauty. We have spent so much time ignoring the earth, forgetting where our food comes from, and with a few mindfulness exercises and practices like the ones in our workshop, we can begin to rebuild the sacred relationship with the earth. For the workshop, I plan on helping participants understand the sacred relationship that they can have with the earth. I would love for people to take these practices and these tools out to the world with them and use it in their personal lives and teach it to their own communities. The goal of this group is to create social change by helping one person at a time discover their innate connection with nature. Regardless of the fact that our participants may have different ways of relating to the earth, and that they may need various ways to connect to the earth, we are ready for the challenge. Maybe nature is for everyone, but not in the same context, and not through the exact same practices. This is why we will be using an interdisciplinary mode of teaching in our workshop. Thank you for watching.